what you're doing now, like just being this killer entrepreneur, is this something that you've always saw yourself in, or were there other goals maybe that maybe you wanted to be a doctor,
No,
or no,
no,
this was it? You
always.
said that with so much confidence, by the
Yes,
way.
yes. It's always been this for me. It was this or nothing.
Mm,
Because I feel like, I mean, obviously your parents want you maybe to be an attorney or whatever, but I knew I wanted to be a female entrepreneur. I would always envision myself. I remember being very young and envisioning myself owning a club. Did that, so it's just like, and I'm attracted to power. I'm attracted to women
hmm
having that power. So that's come from a very young age.
But where have you seen that?
So I've seen it in two different walks of life.
Okay.
I've seen it, learned it from my dad as far as like the business, the finances. I've was very educated in that corporate sense from my dad.
hmm
And then the strength and the demanding respect, et cetera, came from my mom. But if I had any public figures or like today that we have women that can actually talk about these things, didn't exist for me
Mm,
back then. So I would just see again like the women that we would see on TV, but nothing that I can actually reach or touch and have a
right.
conversation with. So
So do you almost feel like you created that role for yourself?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Like I said, growing up Latina, we
Yeah.
always see our strong grandparents or our grandmothers, the women in our lives that are so strong,
hmm
but never actually people like, that we can actually sit down and have these conversations with.
hmm
So I want to say, yeah, I kind of leaded that for
But don't
myself.
you feel like, do you ever have doubt? I guess that's my question.
I
Because
think
it's scary to like jump into that, especially when you don't have a blueprint of what that really looks like for you.
I would agree. So I would agree with you to an extent because um, for some reason, I always I'm not fearful of things. And
Mm,
I think that that's what helps me a lot. But I feel like my fear only, the fact that I'm not fearful comes from my faith.
mm,
So it's like I'm always feel I'm walking with a purpose.
right,
And this is why I always tell women, what's the worst thing that can happen? Just do it. It doesn't matter what it is, man or female. What is the worst thing that can happen? you
right,
f- I don't even think it's failure because it's like if you get up and do it again or a different way and you're successful, how would you know?
right.
So I feel that um I just never been fearful of doing things. I'm telling you, Ali, there's things I don't know. I did when I opened my first business, I didn't have a clue of what I was doing.
Yeah,
I was just like, go, go. That's all that I go
that's
off
what,
that.
yeah.
And it's just crazy because it comes into, fruition and things just they happen the way it's supposed to.
I always say like in business, because for me, like even starting a business, again, my first business was in event planning.
Mhm.
And growing up, I never wanted to do events. My sister would be like,
Oh,
"Oh, do my baby shower." I'm like,
no.
"No, no." And so I was never like wanting to help in that aspect. But something changed as I grew older. I just really loved the production side of putting things together. And I was very scared, but I would always tell people I'm never going to be the first person to tell myself no. Never.
Right.
So my no will come from someone else.
Mhm.
And if they do tell me no, I'm speaking to the wrong person.
That's right.
So I go to the next one.
Mhm.
And I've made so many mistakes. Kiana, I've cried almost every night. Like owning a business, it's like the most like
Challenging.
challenging thing. Like,
Mhm.
where am I gonna get the funds to do this? What if this looks horrible? What if, and then there's lawyers involved, and then you gotta get things trademarked, and just all of that people are
Yeah.
no, like, I'm like, "Ma, you never told me this."
No.
My mother's like, "I never did this."
Right.
So, you
Right.
know?
And that's the thing but the fact, look, you're doing it.
Right.
Whether you
Right,
didn't know
wrong.
how, right, you're doing it. And
Yeah.
that's what counts. And I think that I feel like more women or, should take that into consideration and say, wow, she did it. I'm just going to do it, because there's a lot of times we still don't have answers to things. Or what about when you don't know if it's right or wrong? Forget about
Correct.
now you've already reached certain successes,
Mhm.
but now it's like is that good for me?
Mhm.
Will that not be a good thing? Would that business fail? It's like, you just gotta go.
But you strike me as, like, a decisive person.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you want.
Yeah, I definitely know what I want, but sometimes we have people in our lives that may waive your decision a little
Right, right,
or
for
make
sure.
you say, damn, but what if they're right? So
Mhm,
I just always keep reminding myself, like, no, I know what I want.
mhm.
Even if they tell me this, I know what I want. So
Right.
it's like you got to keep reminding yourself that because it's very easy, to get swayed.
Mhm.
Um, you know, especially if it's somebody you love or that they're close to you, everyone has an opinion.
Eh, girl,
Everyone has an opinion.
I'm like, "Please, I can't even hear anymore. Because 'cause I'm the
Mhm.
type of person that I'll ask everybody for their opinion, and then mentally, I'm like,
Many
"Ay
chefs in the
Dios."
kitchen. Yeah,
Like,
too
it's too
many.
much,
Mhm.
and then I go through anxiety like, "Oh my god, why did I just
Yes.
ask all these
And then
people?"
you side with some or maybe not others. Yeah, no, that'll change. That'll change.
Yeah, I'm like I'm there,
Yeah,
borderline, but
it'll change.
now I'm like, "Okay, let me just silence the entire room and just pay attention." So now when I pray, I'm like, "God, please give me messages in a way that I can understand." Because sometimes I don't understand anything, so
That's
I'm like,
right.
just in the way that I can understand.
That's right.
But it's so difficult. What would you say is the most difficult part in being an entrepreneur? Because
Um,
you have multiple businesses. It's not
yeah.
just one.
Right, right. So they all come with different challenges, of course.
Right.
I feel that being consistent, um,
Major key.
yeah, being consistent
Mhm.
through it's opening up a business is one thing. Whether it's online, whether it's like you do event space, whatever it is, it's one thing. But
Mhm.
to keep it
Mhm.
and to be consistent and be successful at it year after year, I feel like that is the most challenging. And also, we have a lot on our shoulders. We provide for families, we sign checks, we do a lot of things. A
Mhm.
lot of people depend on us. So for me, it's always like once again, I know that one of my purposes here is to help others. So I believe that I don't feel like it's challenging, but I know it's my purpose and I don't want to let people down.
Right.
Not what they think of me. That's not
Right.
what it is at all.
Right.
It's just like I'm here to bring others with me. So that's where, and then just being consistent and being
Right.
successful at it.
What was the first business you launched and
Ah,
why?
so I've always been into beauty, obviously. Once
Yes.
I left the tomboy stage, I just like was full throttle beauty. And so I many years ago was a hair salon
Mhm.
in Harlem. Believe it or
Mhm.
not, it was on 135th in Harlem.
Mhm.
And again, I didn't know what I was doing.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to open a salon, which I did. And it was beautiful. The space was amazing. It was beautiful. Um, but it was my first learning experience
Mhm.
in regards to a lot of things, your demographic, your market research, um, ahead of the time,
Mhm.
just like a lot of things. And because I never did hair, it wasn't truly my passion. It was just business is my passion. So it was just
Right.
something I wanted to do. So that was the first one I did. And then
Mhm.
once we would get into why that one wasn't successful.
Mhm.